When expectations blur reality, what Death Valley taught me about seeing clearly. So this spring, my youngest daughter and I took a road trip to Death Valley National Park. We didn't realize it at the time, but we had timed it perfectly. A rare super bloom was happening, one of those once in a decade moments when the right combination of rain and temperature and timing just invites the desert to come alive with blooms and life. So about 6 short weeks, the landscape transforms. And somehow we were able to land right in the middle of it. Well, we entered the park early in the morning, stopped at the visitor center. We looked at the map and looked to find out where the flower hotspots were, where they were blooming more densely than other places. And we took a look at some of the flowers and what they look like so that we would recognize them when we saw them. But before we decided to chase those blooms, we decided to go to the lowest point in the park, which is Badwater Basin. This is where my mind took a while to process what was happening in front of me. So we parked, and out in the distance, I saw something that just stopped me and puzzled me. It looked like people were walking on water. That's what it looked like to me. People were walking on water. My mind couldn't make sense of it. It didn't match anything in my past experience. So even though I was seeing it with my eyes, I didn't fully believe it. So we walked out onto the salt flats, which was my first experience on salt flats as well. It took us a couple minutes to get out there. And then slowly the truth started to reveal itself to me. There was a thin layer of water, maybe a half an inch deep, that was in the middle of this basin. And when people were walking into this half inch deep water, it had that illusion, that reflection that made it look like they were walking on water. So what looked impossible suddenly made perfect sense. So once my mind caught up, I could finally relax into the moment and enjoy what I was seeing. So we did spend some time there because it was just so fascinating to see. And the mountains that surrounded us were reflected in that really thin layer of water also. So it was truly a magical little bit of time. So after that, we headed over to one of the super bloom locations that we had learned about. And I'll be honest, I didn't see anything. What's the big deal? Where are the flowers? Nothing that I saw could match what I had learned from experience when I lived back east. So my expectation was rooted in what I knew from my past. Lush, dense, vibrant fields, thick greenery, bold colors, abundance of life everywhere and very evident back east. But this was different. At first glance, the pasture, I'll call it, we were in looked sparse, minimal, almost empty. And I didn't really see anything. And then my daughter started pointing out what was in front of us. She was very patient with me. And it took me literally minutes for me to see what was there. There were small, delicate, scattered plants, desert flowers. Once I adjusted my lens, my own mental lens, and let go of what I thought I should be seeing, then everything shifted. I started to notice flowers and color everywhere. The way the morning light touched them, the quiet resilience of their presence, their beauty in their simplicity. Nothing had changed except my perspective. That day, I noticed something important. It did take me some time, but I had to move from expectation into presence. being present at the salt flats, at the flower fields. And in both moments, I had to allow my mind to catch up with what I was visually seeing right in front of me and let go of those expectations. And once I did, the experience opened up into a completely different way. What started as confusion became wonder. What felt like disappointment became appreciation. What I almost missed became unforgettable. And then we enjoyed the rest of our time in the park. We drove to different places. We started to see carpets of flowers everywhere, carpets of color everywhere. Again, it was not like out east, it was its own beautiful super bloom that I was able to see and enjoy. And then we started seeing them everywhere. So then it became easy to see that carpet of color. But it did make me think, how often do we walk into moments with a picture already formed in our heads? And then when reality doesn't match that picture, do we resist it? Do we get annoyed? Do we get frustrated? Do we become impatient? Or do we allow ourselves to actually see what's there? There's something powerful about releasing expectations, not in a passive way, but in a conscious, grounded way. In a way that says, I'm willing to see this for what it is, not just what I thought it would be or should be. Because sometimes the beauty isn't missing, it's just waiting for us to notice it differently. So as we drove out of Death Valley National Park that day, I kept thinking about how little had actually changed for everything to feel different for me. The landscape didn't change. The flowers didn't suddenly multiply. The water didn't disappear. What changed was me. My expectations softened, my perspective widened, and my willingness to see what was actually there grew stronger. And in that moment, something really meaningful opened up. I wasn't just looking anymore. I was noticing. I was appreciating. I was fully in the experience. And it made me realize how often we move through life the same way, holding on to an internal picture of how things should look. And when life shows us something different, we can miss what's quietly waiting for us, simply because it doesn't match the image in our head. But when we allow ourselves to pause, to adjust, and really see what's in front of us, that's when the shift happens. That's when clarity begins. That's when self-trust starts to build. And that's where life begins to feel like it fits again. So the next time something in your life doesn't look like the way you expected, pause for a moment. Before labeling it as wrong or disappointing or not enough, ask yourself, what might I be missing? Because I'm still holding on to what I thought this should be. What should I let go of? Just being aware and questioning can open up a whole new way of seeing. If this message resonated with you and you want more, please opt in to get all of my blog articles as I release them. If you want to explore your superpowers, learn how to trust yourself again, learn how to be your authentic self, then schedule a chat with me. Share this with a woman who might need this information. I'm Teresa Lacem,